Hey there, this is Mark, and I'm with Michelle, and we're here today to talk about the upcoming Wellbeing Fair, which is on Saturday, March 16th from 12 noon until 4 p.m. This is in collaboration with TendWell Collective, and this will be held at Mukunda Studio, which is down on Folsom Street, 1250 Folsom Street, between 8th and 9th. This is our ongoing effort to bring in opportunities for the community to gather and to learn about different modalities of what can serve your well-being. Now, some of this can be wellness related, but I really like the focus on what serves and awakens your well-being. And that is, as I talked about in my previous IG Live with Anjali, we talked about it being our birthright. It's something intrinsic in us. And that by getting inspired by different things we might learn about, we might feel more whole. We might feel that thing that connects with us. So I just want to welcome everybody. And in this moment, I'll welcome Michelle to this talk. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Mark. Quick introduction to me. My name is Michelle Emmanuelle. I am a wellness consultant. I call myself consultant rather than coach because I consult in lots of different areas. I'm also a yoga instructor and also a personal trainer, all wellness, well-being centered.
I love it. Now, you and I met through TendWell Collective, and
Yes.
you first started to, you came as an attendee to the fair and then volunteered and then actually presented. And I knew you more as a person with a yoga background, I think, at first, as we got to know each other. And um, and then I knew that you started to work at Equinox, and that's where
Yes.
you are right now, right?
My little
Yay!
hold up in a corner somewhere.
Yeah, and I just am fascinated by that coming together, and that's in fact what you're going to be offering. Which came first for you? Was it learning about yoga and helping the body mind? Was it the movement, the physical, going to the gym? What or the consulting? Where did you start? I'd be curious about that.
Great question. Let me think about it. It was really pretty much a circuitous route because I started out as an athlete and then a dancer. And then I started taking yoga as prevention from injuries and found that I actually really liked it. So I got a certification in yoga. And then during my certification process, I discovered wellness coaching and thought, oh, I can, and at the time when I actually was getting my yoga certification, I was dabbling into the idea of being a wellness coach at that time. And when I got my certification as a yoga instructor, it was simply to offer that to my clients, not necessarily to teach a whole class. And
Mm,
then from there, I found my business as a wellness coach, a wellness consultant, started primarily in 2020. So it was online, you know, obviously. And then a few years later, I just found, you know what, I really need to get offline and I need to start connecting with people one on one and not only one on one, but just in person. And I was really missing that. And so I wanted to do something that was in alignment with the wellness that I'm doing and also something more in the body because I'm very kinesthetic. And so I always felt like, when I'm standing up front doing workshops, it's like, I want to move. Maybe that the athlete slash dancer part of me is just needing that part. So I happily have the opportunity to be a personal trainer at Equinox. And I really focus. What I tell my clients is like, I can't unknow what I know. And so I combine all of the things in the type of training style that I offer to members here.
wow, that's amazing. Well, you'd be a great person to have guide because yeah, I think having that understanding of all the different ways that the body can express itself and also that we can take care of ourselves. And I
Exactly.
think, dance and movement and flow is a wonderful way to take care of our body, mind, and spirit, but also being smart about it so that we're not, creating injuries or repetitive stress. So having that extra bit of information, like you're talking about, and of course your background, this is, what you have embodied literally. So
Yeah.
that's lovely. I love it. So tell me more about at this upcoming fair, you're going to offer something you're calling functional flow. And
Yes.
I know just a little bit about it, enough that I said, yes, let's do it. Andrew and I
Thank
were
you,
like,
by
that
the
should
way.
be a great start because that'll just get everybody kind of moving at the start of the fair. We love the idea of a group activity to get everybody kind of inspired. So this felt like a really great opportunity. And I understand this is actually going to be something you'll debut with us, which I'm even
It
more excited.
is. It
So tell us
is.
about it.
So it's something, it literally is, like clients that I work with here, they're used to me saying, this is a Michelle special. Basically I made it up, So this is one of those Michelle specials where I'm basically combining the type of, let me just back up a little bit to explain the type of training that I do here is it's a combination of, I guess the big umbrella would be functional training. And that's basically training people in terms of how we move in life. And that
Mhm.
within that functional training, it's strength building, but also increasing mobility, stability, flexibility, and balance. And I find that as I'm looking around the gym and most gyms, I find that people are working very two-dimensionally, like they're lifting weights, they're going this way, and it's very like in basically two different directions. And I thought, well, our bodies move multiple different directions. As a dancer yourself, dance background, you know that our body moves so many different ways. And so I hear people like, oh, I'm working my legs today, I'm working my arms today, and that's great, no shade. However, there's not going to be ever, as far as I can think of, a time when a person trains their legs that a particular day and walks outside the gym and only uses their legs that day. So I really find ways of helping people to work in their bodies of like, how is this going to translate into your daily life? How is this going to support you? So along with the strength training, there's also stability, mobility day, flexibility and balance day incorporated with the strength training. The mobility aspect has been game changing for me, honestly, because what it really is just helping people to move better. Sorry about that. Helping people to move better in their bodies, creating more capacity. It's joint support and joint strengthening, actually. So a lot of times I'm working with a lot of people who have really tight hips, back pain, and just different stiffness. And a lot of times we just accept it as, okay, that's just part of aging. And that's not part of aging particularly. Um, the body responds to whatever is given or taken away. And
Mm.
so, if we're couch potatoes, our body's going to respond to that, And so when we start limiting the different positions that we move in, then we start having some stiffness in our bodies. And the mobility training is basically reawakening those areas and creating some more capacity, warming up the joints, and helping the body to actually find that mobility once again. So that as the joints get stronger, there's more openness in the hips, back pain goes away, there's more range of motion that increases. So I like to tell people, like when we were little, we were in a multitude of different positions, hanging upside down, climbing, going on the monkey bar, squatting, all the different things. And then as we get older, we're sitting and we're hunched over a computer and or standing and walking. And so positionally, we cut it like more than half, in terms of how we're moving in our bodies. But that doesn't mean our bodies can't still move that way. So long intro. And as a yoga instructor, I also really love the idea of just the flow of yoga and finding things and holding those poses and just finding breath in the poses and what do I need to release? What can I engage more? And so the idea of functional flow is combining the functional movement with the yoga flow and and bringing that functionality part. So specifically, here's an example, like in yoga, we take tree pose, for example, we find our alignment, we find that pose, we find our center, and we just find this beautiful place of balance, and centeredness and in breathing and all that wonderful things. However, that doesn't necessarily translate to the functionality in life because when we're balancing life, we're coming from a place of movement, where all of a sudden we have to find our balance in the motion that we're doing rather than the static place in yoga where we're just standing and finding this peaceful, we found it and now we can get there. In life, if you need the balance, you need it right away. You can't just let me find my leg, let me find my center, let me find my breath. You're the balancing or you're falling.
Mm.
And so it's just combining some different ways of helping the body to adapt functionally into these different positions and also opening up the hips. So literally it's working from the ground up. And so because that's how we started moving in life. Developmentally, we were crawling on our bellies, and then we were scooching, and then we were crawling, and that actually gave us the core strength enough to start pushing ourselves off the ground into a more upright position. And so those things, the patterning tends to have gotten lost as we get older. And so basically functional flow is bringing us back to some of those foundational movement patterns. Um, People literally are crawling. I always say the little kid in you knows how to do this. The adults like, wait, but it really does feel really good to the body to be able to start moving in that more mobile place again. And honestly, it opens things up. And the nice thing about the mobility part too is that it's naturally, not only is it strengthening, but because it's opening different things up, it's stress relieving as well.
Mm.
So a lot of times after the session with the person, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel lighter. Sometimes after working out, you're just like lifting all these heavy weights and your body's like tired. It's like, it's more of a heavy feeling, you know? So with the kind of things that I've been incorporating with the strength training, it's actually expanding and opening and creating more alignment so that when you get up from the ground and get into the place of motion, your joints are warmed up, everything's like ready to roll.
Mm. That sounds amazing. And do you feel like this is something that is accessible to anyone, or is this more for people who go to the gym or people who know yoga? Is this something that will translate?
It translates for anyone who has a body, which I think everybody qualifies. So yeah, because really, most of the people that I work with are people who are sitting at desks all day, and then they come to the gym for their lunch hour, but they're just like, oh, let me just get on a treadmill, whatever. But I always tell people, like, are you maximizing your time? If you're here to relieve stress, are you accessing the areas in your body that are stressed? And are you
Mm.
releasing that? And so same thing with this mobility training, and the functional flow that I've, been putting together. It's really about finding things in your body. It's a self-assessment. It's, self-feedback. You know what I mean? It's like you're getting your own feedback, like, oh, this hip is tighter than this hip, or well, this side of my body has this. I don't need to tell you anything. And it's a nice way to reconnect with your body. And obviously there are so many different variations, so it doesn't have to be the highest level of anything, especially when we're crawling, you know. Um, I think most people, even with knee issues, there's ways of doing that, of just getting the patterning, So long answer to say it's for everybody.
And so at the fair, this is going to be something just to give people a little bit of an idea. We'll have the room set up. It might look like a yoga setup because we're going to have our yoga mats. They're going to have props. And so I understand some of what you'll do that day. You've got about a 30-minute time frame for that. That'll be more floor work. Is it going to be stretching? Are we going to feel like we're doing yoga, or are we going to feel like we're working out, or is it somewhere else, in that range?
It's going to feel more like it's so much more dynamic than a yoga class, and not in terms of like the core yoga where you're like, yeah, let's hit it, like a hit yoga class that
Okay.
exists. Um, but it's more like really activating the core, holding different poses, and moving it so that it's challenging. And so there's more movement. We're not really pausing very much in places, and
Hmm.
if there is a pause, that pause is actually holding. And so the core is having to engage to hold that and then move into something else. So it's definitely not going to be one of those moments of just yoga. It's it's going to be something that is more dynamic, but at the end of it, typically people feel more energized, which is what I like about this being the spring well-being fair. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like waking up the body, waking up ourselves to enter this new season that we're going into. Um, so just for expectation wise, it is going to be more dynamic and a bit of a workout, but nothing just like hot sweating, but really just more releasing and opening and finding things, and like transitions continue to happen into the next thing, into the next thing. So there are moments when I take a pause, um, just like check in, how's that feeling, let's go, you know so especially in
And
30
it
minutes.
and if I show up, wearing pants and my usual everyday clothes, is that going to work? Or do you recommend that people, try to dress a
Mm-hmm.
little more comfortably? What's going to be the case?
Great question. So I would say dress more comfortably, because we will be on the ground, and there will be times where we'll be moving our knees in and out, and sometimes like jeans are very unforgiving when it comes to moving and things like that. So if there's stretch to the material, that will be helpful. It doesn't have to be full on workout, but just something that can definitely like move with the body and not hinder movement would be what I would recommend.
Got it. And then lastly, we kind of touched on this earlier that your first connection to the fair was coming as an attendee. You came to learn what this
Absolutely.
was about. And then I
Yes.
think the next one you came and you volunteered. We put you right into helping us out, which was great. And then the most recent one in December, you came and you were actually a practitioner, being part of the fair. What would you share as your experience having really all the three different ways we love to welcome people in? What would you say has been a highlight or inspirational part of your involvement?
So many things. I'll touch base with the first time I came. I came in a state of just being really drained and just so needing to be refreshed and to be renewed. And so I was invited by one of the founders of TendWell Collective, Andrea Stern, a friend of ours. And I was just met with not only so many wonderful practices, but such a wonderful community and an atmosphere that was very easy. I feel like a person can come and not know someone and feel really welcome and feel easily integrated because it's community of people meeting people and conversations, and doesn't it's not one of those places where it's like, okay, I don't know anybody, I feel awkward, I'm gonna leave, you know. Um, so that was one thing, it's just a sense of community and sense of connection. The honestly, the diversity of people I love. I mean, I feel like if you just take a map and just throw some darts, there'll be, some nice representation in terms of just the diaspora, the different types of humanity that exist here, which is beautiful. And I know that you are very intentional about creating a diverse community, and I think you do an amazing job. And as a practitioner, especially in the wellness area, so many times it's the only in the room, so it's really nice to look around like, oh wow, look at this diverse group of people, it's amazing, really awesome. And also I think that I am always learning something, you
Mm,
know, and that's really nice. And not necessarily like I'm seeking to learn, but just in conversations with people, just hearing other people's insights. Like, I love the conversation circles where it's just like, I've helped facilitate. I've also been a participant. And then I think the last time I came, I was just chilling and sleep. I was like, I'm tired. I was just listening. And
right.
it was wonderful. All the different ways of being able to be present was really wonderful. And I learned so much each time. I
That's
can go
great.
on and on. Also, though, I just want to say this is also why it feels really exciting to debut this new like functional flow to this community, because I know that there's this openness. There's already a very like-minded. If people are coming to the event, it's because they want to enhance their well-being. So it's a very easy entryway for people to kind of like, oh yeah, I'd love to discover more about my own body. And so that's exciting too.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Thank you for taking time to do this with me. And I'm happy we're going to get to share some of this because this is a new offering for the fair and for you to share. So I look forward to seeing you here on Saturday, March 16th. Again, everyone, the link is in the bio for how you can get tickets. There is a special uh, early planner ticket, I call it, that is $22 to come to the fair that ends on March 3rd. So if you get your tickets, there's only a limited number of those. But anyway, thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you all at the fair. Thanks, Michelle.
Can I just say one thing? I
Please,
think that
yes.
I feel like $22 is a steal for all of the different types of practitioners that are available. I mean, it's really, I love that you're making it pretty accessible. So for those of you who are thinking $22, what is it? It really is quite a deal for all the types of practitioners. There's like 10 different practitioners, I
Yeah, we'll
think
have
maybe more.
15
15. See, $22 for 15 practitioners. I think
and
that's it.
a day of tea and plant-based snacks, all my snacks.
Yes, bonus. I know snacks, community, conversation, movement. $22.
I
That's it.
know.
Okay, that's
All right, Michelle.
it.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.